What if I told you that the Russo-Ukrainian War is being fought between 3 countries right now, and not 2? Now, roll with me on this one. We do have 3 countries with soldiers and boots on the ground. However, I will also state that 2 of them are on the same side. So it's not like they're all 3 fighting against each other in a triangle type of war. 2 of the 3 countries, of course, are on the same side. You know the 2 major ones that are opposing each other directly, and that's, of course, Russia and Ukraine. Russia being the invaders in 2022. The war from a military standpoint is basically a standoff. That said, Ukraine has taken a lot of steps to reduce Russia's ability to wage war by attacking their infrastructure, attacking their energy sources, attacking their economy, attacking their bases, attacking their planes and weapons storage locations. Whereas Russia prefers to take on Ukrainian civilians, which doesn't have much of a military value. So I think eventually this war will tip in favor of Ukraine, but it's going to take a while. Simply because Ukraine was at such a numerical and weapons disadvantage from jump. Now, who's the 3rd country? What if I told you that's North Korea? It's been confirmed by people on pretty much all fronts and sides on this one. The number of soldiers that North Korea is sending to fight for Russia that part is disputed. Its number has been quoted as low as 6,000 and as high as 12,000. The 12,000 quote comes from the United States. The Ukrainians themselves say around 10,000. And now you got to be wondering why. Well, I mentioned in the earlier video that the casualties for the Russian side are not sustainable. Of course, throwing a bunch of South Koreans into this is like coming to a NASCAR race with about an extra 3 gallons of fuel. You know how fast those things use fuel, don't you? And so 10,000 South Korean soldiers at the rate of attrition and loss on the Russian side, again, about 1,200 per day. It's enough to last them about a week and a half, if that. So yes, there are 3 nations fighting this war. Now, Russia says that South Korea doesn't actively have boots on the ground, but it's none other than Vladimir Zelensky who has refuted this, as well as the United States and as well as many of the Ukrainian allies. They have been stating that South Korean soldiers have been spotted on the front line, wearing Russian uniforms and given Russian military ID, but one look at them and you know that they're not Russians, or even any sort of Eastern Europeans. You know that they're Eastern Asians, which points towards North Korea. Now you got to ask yourself, why is North Korea throwing its own soldiers into the Ukraine meat grinder? There's an old bumper sticker that I used to see in Texas when I was growing up quite a bit. It says, cash, grass, or ASS, nobody rides for free. And I thought of this bumper sticker, and Kim Jong-un doesn't do anything for free. That much has been known for decades. So, as everybody knows, North Korea is pursuing a nuclear weapons program and has had some success. And so what they get is technology to enrich uranium, and they have enough right now to probably create 50 to 70 nuclear warheads and bombs. They may already have it. Now, as far as So they get that, and I'm sure Kim is also getting badly needed food aid to feed his starving citizens. And he's also getting a crap ton of cash. Putin is paying Kim somewhere around $2,000 a month per soldier, which is in US dollars, of course. Now, how much do the soldiers get? Probably about 10% of that. But 10% of $2,000 in North Korea is still a crap ton of money. So these soldiers are still getting paid an exponentially high amount of compensation for putting their lives on the line for Vladimir Putin. Kim is also sending munitions and ammunition, which, of course, mass production of those types of items is something that North Korea does well at. So they get the technology, they get the big assist on the nuclear weapons program, and in turn, they provide Putin with manpower that he badly needs. But it's not going to last for very long. Again, casualties are about 1,200 per day right now on the Russian side. The help from that third nation is not doing them a whole lot of good. It's basically delaying the attrition that they're suffering in these casualties. North Koreans have absolutely died in combat, because there are films in North Korea of memorial services featuring Kim Jong-un crying over the soldiers who were lost. Crocodile tears, if you ask me. Otherwise, if he really was concerned about them, he wouldn't have sent them from jump. So there's the story. As much as I can tell, there are 3 nations on the ground in Ukraine in this war. But Russia and North Korea are on the same side, battling against the third, which of course is Ukraine. The propaganda in North Korea around this is they're laying it on pretty thick as usual. It's things like, we will have a great victory to help defend the sovereignty of the great Russian leader Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin, or whatever his name is. Usual wooden language of North Korean propaganda that they've been using ever since the days of Kim Il-sung in 1948. So there you go, guys. Three nations are shooting in Ukraine. Ukraine itself, Russia, and North Korea. With North Korea providing a lot of the ammunition themselves. They're kind of bringing their own bullets to the mortar shells to the battle, in turn using it themselves. South Korea has an interesting take on this one, and they've been part of an interesting strategy themselves. They're not militarily involved whatsoever, but Ukraine has a project called the I Want to Live project, which convinces soldiers on the Russian side and uses mass messaging promising that if they surrender, that they'll not only be allowed to live, but they'll be provided hot food, they'll be provided things that the Russian military is not providing them right now. Russia's not providing them really with bulletproof shields. They're not providing them sufficient ammunition, and they're not providing them sufficient food. And so it's in this backdrop that Ukraine will blast out messages in Russian encouraging those soldiers to surrender. Hence the I Want to Live project, because they promise that they will be treated properly under the Geneva Convention, and that those Russian soldiers will finally be fed sufficiently and clothed sufficiently, which they have not been through much of this war. There is a Korean component. South Korea and North Korea, of course, share the same language. So South Korea has provided their own messaging to their North Korean counterparts on the other side of the front line. Messaging in Korean. The I want to live messaging. With modest success, I mean, there's been a few hundred of them that have surrendered, or a few dozen. Correct me if I'm wrong. Drop any details in the comments below if you have any corrections on any of the information that I have here. But this is what I've picked up on social media over the past few weeks, and so I would share tonight. That there are 3 countries fighting in Ukraine, not just 2. That's it for tonight. I will have something new tomorrow. I will see you again with a Hump Day edition. Peace out, homies.